Okay, guys, I'm back. So we'll watch the recap of The Owl House Season 2. So let's go.
Back to what, you ask? Why, back to the ongoing plot recap of the Disney Channel animated series The Owl House video series. Whatever. Yep, it's time to revisit The Owl House, the Disney Channel cartoon about a teenage girl getting lost in another dimension. But not the one with frogs.
Nope.
Or the one about racism. I recapped Season 1 of this show last year, and now that Season 2's wrapped up, it's time for me to regurgitate everything I saw back to you guys, but with far worse drawings and explanations and everything else. As always, things are definitely going to be oversimplified here. If you want the full Owl House experience, watch The Owl House. These recaps are basically cartoon cliff notes, just keep that in mind. So first, where did we leave off in Season 1? Well, for a full deep dive into that, there's my Season 1 recap. But basically, a girl named Luce trips into a world of magic, learns to cast spells with paper, and meets an owl lady named Ida who becomes her new mom. And King is also there. New mom Ida hates the Emperor, Bellos, because he makes everyone join something called a coven, which means they can only practice one kind of magic, indicated by the sigil they all get branded with. Also, Bellos sometimes has heart palpitations that nearly turn him into a giant monster, and he has to consume the essence of these things called palisman to stop it. This normal is the most normal. And new mom Ida also turns into a monster sometimes because her sister Lilith was mean. But after fighting for a while, they make up and decide to share the curse equally. Then Luce fights Bellos because he's evil and doing evil things. He keeps going on about some stupid Day of Unity and it's annoying, so she beats him up but blows up her only way home in the process. Oops. Okay, Season 1 mini recap over. Now it's Season 2, and Lilith is just crashing at the Owl House, repairing her relationship with Ida, getting used to her new curse, and befriending that big owl worm thing that lives in their walls, Hootie. They seem to be getting along. Lilith and Ida are struggling without their magic, but Luce is teaching them to use glyphs. Luce herself is basically the same as always, going on adventures, learning new spells, trying to find a way home, and definitely not obviously crushing on her former rival Amity. All that blushing is just because of allergies. Meanwhile, Bellos is rebuilding the portal to the human realm and preparing for the Day of Unity, which is kind of the big, bad, ticking clock of the season. But besides the Day of Unity, the main focus of this season is Luce's attempts to get back to the human realm. And I mean, that's kind of always been the point, but things actually start to pick up steam when Luce gets tipped off to an interesting fact. She's not the only human to have visited the Boiling Isles. So she meets up with Amity, and the two go digging at the local library where they discover ancient diary logs in a mouse skeleton? It doesn't matter. This was the diary of a human named Philip Witterbane who got lost in the Boiling Isles a long time ago and wrote about the things he learned as he tried to get back home. Almost like a journal? Okay, I'll stop. But Luce is now one step closer to finding a way home, and she got to spend some time with Amity, who now has purple hair and gives Luce a kiss on the cheek. I swear to God, I've never seen two people blush more in my life. Starting to worry it's some kind of circulatory issue. Luce starts studying as much as she can from Philip's diaries and learns about something called Titan's blood. Yeah, you know those giant skeletal remains this entire civilization is built on? Yeah, that used to be a Titan. They're like gods in the Boiling Isles. And apparently, even just a little bit of their blood is powerful enough to tear the fabric of reality and open portals to other dimensions. But since the Titans are extinct, their blood is extremely rare. And obviously, Bellos is after it too.
It's complicated. I completed my quest. He returned to me.
Long story short, after a series of wacky adventures, people nearly die. Both Luce and Bellos end up with some Titan's blood. Bellos needs it to rebuild the main portal, but Luce decides to build a portal door of her own. It's pretty unstable and not fully functional. She can look into the human realm, but not enter it. So Luce is able to get a glimpse of home where she finds... Oh! Okay, another Luce? Well, not really. This is B, a shape-shifting demon from the Boiling Isles who's been living in Luce's place since she's been gone. Yeah, it turns out Luce's mom has had absolutely no idea she's been missing this entire time. Completely unaware. But of course, once she's faced with this scenario, some questions had to be asked. Luce's mom finds out about everything. She lets V stay with her, but is naturally heartbroken that Luce chose to stay in the Boiling Isles instead of coming home. And just as the portal starts to fail, Luce promises her mom to come back home and stay. Luce is then pulled back into the Boiling Isles, the portal collapses in on itself, and that is the last she sees of her mom for now. But Luce isn't done
And let me tell you that for a while, this episode went haunted. And it was crazy. Crazy, I say. Anyway, you get my point. It was so crazy the first time we watched that because it was so. Oh. But anyway, you get my point. I'm just happy that everything worked out in the end. Which is crazy because unlike Amphibia, the Outlaws ended where Luce can still go back to the demon realm.
Hopping into other worlds, now teaming up with Lilith to travel back in time. Luce wants to meet that Philip guy and try to get his help, but of course, he is from a very long time ago. And apparently, time travel is absolutely, definitely something you can do in the Boiling Isles, just no one had ever actually done it until now. Luce and Lilith just out here casually discovering time travel. They hop back in time and manage to find Philip, who's acting a little sketchy, not gonna lie, but he does agree to help Luce if she helps him find this mysterious character he's been looking for, the Collector. So the three of them all head to, well, the Titan's Head. Luce and Lilith help Philip. There's so many L's. Why are there so many L's? Luce and Lilith help Philip open this big door, and Philip's like, "Oh, would you look at that? It's time to, time for me to, it's time for the, time. Betrayal! A giant monster that Philip knew would be there attacks our heroes while Philip just moseys on over to grab this shiny round tablet with a moon on it and dips. Luckily, our heroes escape, Lilith punches Philip in the face, and they head back to their time. Oh, and Philip is definitely Bellows. Look at him. Yep. He's eating palisman, hating witches. Yeah, that's Bellows. But Luce doesn't know that yet, so shh. Now let's shift focus onto someone who hasn't really had a whole lot of spotlight so far. King, the good old king of demons. Or at least, that's what he calls himself. He's just a little guy. How could he have been the king of anything? Well, Lilith and Hootie were thinking the same thing. So, to prove he's not lying, King takes the gang all the way to this castle on a mysterious uncharted island.
Ooh,
according to King, this castle is where he ruled over armies and ate glorious feasts. But Ida's like,
many of you theorists already found
so apparently none of that King of Demons stuff was true. Ida just found King eating bugs in this castle, took him home with her, and made up all the King of Demons stuff to make him happy. So King's life is a lie, but that doesn't explain what he was doing in this castle in the first place. Well, turns out this is where he was born, hatched from an egg and left on his own after hearing the roar of what he believes to have been his dad. King might not be the King of Demons, but there's definitely a lot more to learn about who he really is. And King is now determined to find his dad and get answers. But speaking of parents, between Luce getting closer to going home and King looking to find his dad, new mom Ida is starting to get kinda nervous. She's really grown to love her little family, and now it feels like everyone's trying to leave. So she does what anyone should do in this situation: drink the pain away. But after enabling her unhealthy coping mechanism, she runs into a group of rebel bards fighting some of the Emperor's scouts. And if there's one thing that can cheer Ida up, it's sticking it to the Emperor's coven. So she helps the bards escape, only to discover... who is that? This is Rain Whispers. They're actually the head of the Bard Coven, secretly rebelling against the Emperor and his coven system. And they just happen to also be Ida's ex. But they still seem to get along, so, you know, it's fine. It's not weird. Don't make it weird.
We talking about cash backing, not a game.
I'm talking about cash back.
With Rain's group of rebels for a bit to stop some of Bellows' plans. He's been arresting a bunch of wild witches and forcing them to join covens for some reason. I mean, that's kind of what he was already doing, but he's doing it harder now. But the bards are caught by two other coven heads, Darius and Everwolf. Ida nearly sacrifices herself to defeat them, still fearing that her family doesn't need her anymore. But Rain's like, dude, shut up. Like, actually shut up. And they give themselves over to the coven heads to let Ida escape. Man, this season's been heavy so far. Everyone's got so much to deal with. And with all this happening at once, I know exactly what you're thinking. What about Hootie? That's right, this Mickey Mouse voiced owl worm building thing is finally plot relevant. See, Hootie sees just how much everyone's going through and decides to help out. But of course, this is Hootie, the dude who barfs in almost every episode he's in. So naturally, it all goes horribly wrong, Until it doesn't. Completely by accident, Hootie helps King discover that he has supersonic scream powers. He helps Ida come to peace with her curse, unlocking this wicked-looking harpy form. And he helps Luz finally ask out Amity. And you know what that means. More blushing. Are you okay? This much blushing can't be healthy. Do you need medical assistance? She says yes, obviously, meaning that Luz and Amity are